There he is, well done Craig, just to the right and centre there's moving, you can see him, just got his back towards us on that middle branch in the water, or just above the water. It seems looks like he's fishing over there, the green-backed heron. See, no crocodile basking in the sun this afternoon, but there's some impala in the background on the bank opposite us, and you can see them with the Egyptian geese, or Egyptian goose. There's only one. Thought there were some others around there. It's quite peaceful. There was a few hippo around. There was one just here in front of us in this kind of little channel, I suppose. He was in there, but seems to have disappeared. Maybe moved down a little bit further. See, there's some hippo over there. There the hippo are on the other side of the dam. Hey Lana, you asked if out of the crocodile and the hippo, who would initiate a fight? Ilana, well, the thing is, generally, the hippo and the crocodile, because they live in the same habitat, they tolerate each other, so they don't mind being in the waterhole together or in the river together. If anything, a hippo can cause some serious damage to a crocodile and probably chase a crocodile, but generally they avoid each other, they stay out of each other's way. But I think a hippo can cause some serious damage. Huge teeth, big mouths, very powerful, even with a big heavy crocodile. The hippo would probably still reign victorious or chase the crocodiles away. It'd be interesting to see, Ilana, if we ask our friends in the Masai Mara when we join them again, or when they join us again, what they think. They see huge crocodiles up in the Masai Mara in East Africa, and also a lot of hippos. So it'll be interesting to see what they say. I'm sure they've seen some confrontation before between the crocodile and the hippo. I'm not sure, but down here we don't really see it that often. The crocodiles stay out of the way of the hippos stay out of the way of the crocodiles. So it's not something that happens often where there is conflict or there is a fight. So there's not as much going on at the dam as I thought there would be. I was hoping we'd bump into some animals in the clearing or coming down to drink, but nothing. But what I think we should do is probably head up onto the clearings on the other side of Chitwa and just see if there aren't some animals moving around there. Maybe we have some elephants moving through the clearings or anything really. So we shall see. Alright, so I'm going to move now. While I do that, let's head to Tristan, who's driving around, and I wonder what his plan is for the rest of the afternoon.
Well, Byron, I haven't really decided yet. I'm kind of driving in the hope that there'll be some sort of moment that will happen or bush indication of where to go. I'm going to go check Buffelshoek Dam just because I haven't been there for a few days, and I thought it would be nice at this time of the day with this beautiful light just to go and see if anything's hanging around. And I was hoping that we'd get some tracks or we'd get an alarm call, but alas, nothing yet to stir our intrigue, unfortunately. So other than that, I think we're just enjoying the beauty of the afternoon. It's that time of the day. Look at this golden light that is spread all across this sort of eastern horizon as the sun comes from the west. So it's just pretty driving around really, and Seb and I were just talking about it. It's both of our last drive before we are off for a little bit. So Seb is going home and then he's got to go and do some stuff down on the coastline. I'm off to the Eastern Cape for a few days, so we're both only back in a little bit of time. So both of us were hoping for an epic way to finish our cycle, so to call it, and it would be nice if there was something really good on the horizon. Of course, Taylor and Byron will still be here, Craig is going to be here, and Senzo will be arriving back on Sunday. He'll be back here with us and helping out at Djuma for the next little bit until Seb is back, and well, Seb and Craig actually come back, and then the rotation start. Craig will be heading on to the Masai Mara, and well, things will start happening. It's getting to that time where we're going to start getting change-ups of what's happening as we get closer towards September. But don't worry, Seb, we're going to find something here somewhere. I have a good feeling. We'll just have to be patient, but it would be really nice to find a leopard now, because the light right now is as good as it gets. It's quite low down on the horizon, and it's golden, and there's nothing better than a leopard in the golden light of the afternoon. They seem to almost get that much more beautiful when the light is like it is now. But hopefully there'll be something around. I'm just starting to dam now. A little bit on the windy side, so I don't think we're going to have too much in the way of the herbivores around, but you never know. Maybe some birds, maybe some elephants.
Oh dear, looks like we lost some signal for Tristan there. Well, luckily, I think our signal should be fine. We're heading up towards the clearings on Chitwa. We'll see if we can find anything there. If anything, we might have a beautiful sunset. I do enjoy the winter sunsets and the silhouettes. Oh, well, Tristan, well done. He's managed to fight off gremlins, and not just that. Oh, slender mongoose. Oh, slender mongoose, hold on. Let's see if we can get a glimpse of it. It's so quick. Just ran across the road in front of us. A beautiful slender mongoose, but they are shy. They are very, very quick little animals, and it just ran past us, unfortunately. But as I was saying, Tristan got rid of the gremlins, he's got signal, and he's got some beautiful pachyderms that are drinking.
We do, Byron, and isn't this beautiful? Look at the light that is on them. So I was talking about the light making leopards looking good, but this is absolutely beautiful. We've got a nice herd that is drinking on the perfect side of Buffelshoek Dam for us to be able to see them in this golden light. So isn't this nice? Now, I didn't think we would see them because of the wind that's up. I would have thought that these guys potentially would be in a bit of a thicket, but it seems as though down on Buffelshoek Dam, actually where we're sitting, it's a little bit sheltered from the wind, so they might be why they are here at the moment. And I wonder if these are not the same tracks for the herd that I was following just now. Could also be the same herd that Taylor had this morning. It seems as though Buffelshoek has been a good place to look for elephants the last few days. And you can see there's a young one nudging away, trying to get milk from its mother. It's getting a little bit old to be drinking, and that's why the trunk and the head is now actually getting in the way, and it's battling to be able to get to the teats. You'll find when they're younger, they're much smaller, and they can just put their trunk over their head and be able to get to the teats, no problem. But when mom is drinking like that, and the angle of her forelegs, you can see not easy to get under and towards where the milk is. Shame, little one, are you struggling? Wouldn't be surprised we hear a big moan and complain shortly. And often the babies, when they can't get the milk, will start to complain a little bit. But look at that, isn't that magnificent? We get very spoiled sometimes with things like this, and we were saying we wanted a great sighting to finish off our cycle, and well, Seb, I think that's about as good as you can ask for. Ellie's in the late afternoon light having a drink. I agree. Is always a beautiful sight. Now, I don't think these Ellies are going to actually swim. I think these Ellies are probably in all likelihood going to drink and then move on. You generally find it's the young males or bigger males that tend to swim a little bit, but either way, it is beautiful, and we've got you just in time. I imagine these elephants have only just arrived at the dam, given that they're still drinking after this period of time that we've been sitting here. So we've got timed this absolutely perfectly. Oh, and there's a hippo snorting at us. There's our hippo. Our hippo is just having a little snort as it sees us and the elephants. Now, Amir, you're wondering if the elephants, if it's true that they never forget. Well, yes, Amir, that is true. They will always remember where water is, food, places that they can go, and then certain experiences that they've had. And that's why areas where elephants are persecuted extensively, they tend to be a lot more on the aggressive side than the elephants in a place like the Sabi Sands, where these guys are left to do their thing and are not chased around, they're not hunted, they're in no way disturbed, and that's why they're so comfortable with our presence. So they do remember for as long as they're alive. They've got a very large brain, much like our brain is very big, and they're able to then process all kinds of different things, and so their intelligence is as good as it gets, and they are probably the most intelligent animal out here. Maybe baboons would be a little bit more on the intelligent side, but ellies are definitely one of the most intelligent we have. It's actually been an afternoon filled with our intelligent animals. Byron had baboons. I'm not talking about Byron himself, but Byron and his baboons both are intelligent creatures. And then the hyenas, and now the ellies. So it's been a good display of all our more intelligent animals this afternoon. Look at that little one. Are you still working out how this thing works? Interesting to watch when they're down at water. Now we've got to chase some birds. We've got to make sure everybody knows we're boss. The little trunk feeling around. I think it sprayed more water on it than it actually drank. You can see there's water all over its head. Very cute. Now you can see some of the adults are starting to go up towards that torchwood. The light on them is insanely good. Wow. There's a bit of dust bathing going on the right there, Seb, which is quite nice. I don't know if you can see it there. You can see a bit of dust being thrown around. And look at that. I always love when they dust bathe. It's like these ghosts in amongst the clouds of dust. Very cool. What we might do is, now that they're starting to leave a little bit, they might go and feed off that torchwood. So I think I'm going to go around, Seb, and we're going to get a little closer to them. Now that they've stopped drinking, I'm hoping that they'll just stay there and we'll be able to get a little on the closer side. Obviously just pulled up onto this side when we saw them drinking because we were super excited to see them. Am I good to go back there, Seb? It's no little lurking stumps that might cause any trouble. Now, while I reposition and get myself into a closer place, let's go across to Byron, who I believe is time and not a light-breasted roller.
Yes, I have indeed, Tristan. We found a raptor. Well done on the elephants. I'm so glad you got to see some. Now, this looks like a tawny eagle, and it is a tawny eagle. Can't really see the bottom of the legs, but you'll probably see that the feathers go all the way down the legs. They generally look quite scruffy. You notice at the belly of that eagle, the feathers look a little ruffled, and that typical tawny eagle look. They do look a little scruffy like that. Lovely view of it though. And it's funny, I mentioned earlier today that we hadn't seen a tawny eagle for quite some time. They're beautiful eagles. Quite big now. It doesn't look like it's that big from where I'm sitting because we're quite far from it, but it is actually a big bird. And beautiful light on it now too, this golden afternoon light. Now we're in the clearings and I can hear Senegal lapwings. I can't see one yet. I'll see if I can spot one for you. But there's Senegal lapwings. But it's really, really nice to see this tawny eagle up in the tree. But it sounds like Tristan's having a lot of luck with these elephants. And they're dust bathing at the moment, very close to them. Hopefully they do throw some dust onto Tristan, just to wake him up a bit.
Well, don't worry, Byron. If they do throw onto me, I shall surely find you later and throw some on you too, just so that you feel like you're part of the team. But we have a big female right next to the car. You can see the front of the car there, and she's just waiting for the rest of the herd to come past before she carries on and allows them to go. So here she comes. Okay, girl. Isn't this incredible? We are being absolutely spoiled to be as close as we are to a female elephant who is not showing too many signs of being in distress, but I'm lowering my voice because I don't want her to get upset, and I'm trying not to move too much because she's just waiting for the rest of the herd. You see there's a little baby going behind her, so I think she's waiting for her little baby to go past before she carries on, and the little baby's having a little dust bath. Okay, girl. You can see the shadow of the one walking behind us now as we get engulfed by this herd, and there comes another one at the back. Wow, this is amazing. You can see, look at her trunk is just resting. Isn't that incredible that we can see the detail on her trunk and her tusks? And imagine the stories this old female could tell. Look at her temples. You can see her temples actually sunken in, her eyes, long eyelashes. There we go. Now the whole herd's gone across, and she's going to in all likelihood carry on once the herd is gone now. Although she looks as though she might be picking up a trunk full of dust. Do you want the pipe that is underneath us? Now there is a pipe that is underneath the car, and I don't know if that's what she's busy watching at the moment or what that she wants, because she keeps kind of looking at me as though, why are you here? But the pipe is not connected, girl. You can't grab the pipe. It's not good for you. But you can see very clearly her two tusks as well, and there's leaking from her temporal glands, and the two tusks there. So one is much shorter than the other. See that left tusk is much shorter, so that's the tusk that she will use to work with a lot more. She'll find that she'll break off roots and branches using that, and that's why it's ended up being stubbier and more sort of thicker, and then the long right tusk that she doesn't use nearly as much. Now, interestingly enough, she's leaking heavily from her temporal glands, which is a sign of emotion. Now, she was doing that when we were a long way away on the other side. Before we even got here, she was leaking out of there. So I don't know if she's content by the fact that she's already had water and it's a fairly nice temperature, but you can see the darkening just behind the eyes. What do you want, my girl? Interesting though, she's listening to us very intently as well. Now this is an old female, in all likelihood the matriarch of this particular herd. We know that she's older because if you look at her temples just above the eyes there, you see how they're sunken in. So that's an indication often of age as they get older, so that skin starts to sink in around the temples. It's a lot like people, and it can be an indication that she's an older female. Also the fact that she's sitting here and she's waiting for the rest of the elephants to move and to cross before she goes is generally an indication of her being a matriarch of this particular herd. Having a little footrest, and you can see the toenails. My girl, you might need a pedicure. And there she goes. Wow. That is as good as it gets. It is the most special thing to be in the company of one of the giants of Africa, and to be that close and to have her just be that relaxed around us is absolutely phenomenal. Wow. Sometimes when you see elephants this way, it renders you almost speechless when you're sitting that close to them. I cannot explain to you the feeling that you have when they're just sitting and you're making almost eye contact with them, and they're right next to you and right in your presence, and there's almost this game of them kind of looking and seeing what you're about. It is phenomenal. And I can tell you in no way does she feel threatening. She's not
displayed any aggressive behavior. What I will tell you though is that she is heavily pregnant. If we come back, you can see, look at how rounded she is around the hip area there. So she's a heavy pregnant female, and I wonder if maybe that leaking we're seeing from the temporal gland is related to her pregnancy. Maybe she's, you know, having a bit of a stressful time. Maybe the baby's moving a little bit and that's causing her to kind of leak from that gland, but it's in no way made her aggressive or grumpy with us. But she's definitely got a little one inside there. You can actually see how the stomach itself is drooping a little bit, see there? So that is almost full term. She's actually even got a little bit of milk starting around her teats. It's not completely swollen yet, but there is milk developing in those teats, and I would imagine that in the next month or two that maybe she's going to give birth, which would be fantastic if that was the case. Wow. But I can tell you, we've just had a brush with one of nature's greatest animals out here. Seb?
Wow, it was fantastic.
You wanted epic? That's about as epic as it gets. Now there is one elephant behind us that I'm going to try and show you, because the shot itself is going to be epic. Look at that, Seb. Sunset and an elephant with the sunset. There we go. So there's our sunset for those of you that are into your screenshots. How's that? There's the sun dipping, elephant below it. Isn't that beautiful? Now that's one of the young males by the looks of it. I can't see nicely because I'm staring straight into the sun at this stage, and it's a little bit of a bleak angle for me. But it looks like one of the young males that's just gone off feeding, and the rest of the herd is also feeding just in the thickets off the dam here, so they're all not too stressed about what's going on. And this is often what happens after a bit of a drink. They'll then move into these thicker areas and start to drink. Now I'm almost sure that is a male, and there we go, there's the sunset. Riedel, you want to know how the elephants get their mineral requirements at Djuma? Well, through varying food sources. So you must remember that elephants are not just eating grass, they're not just eating leaves, they're eating roots, they're eating bark, they're eating everything they can. Sometimes you'll even find the plants that they are eating, like the grasses, they're pulling out, they're going to eat the roots of that grasses. There's going to be certain minerals that are going to be found in the soil that they're even going to consume. So they'll get some from soil, some from leaves, some from roots, some from bark, and some from the grass itself. So it just depends on what food source they're going after, but that will be enough for them to sustain themselves and to get more minerals than they actually need. There will also be minerals that will be leached into the water from the soil that the water is on, and so when they drink they're going to get certain minerals from there too. This area that the elephants are in, and why the elephants here often are much bigger than a lot of other elephants in the world, is because if you look in front of us, look at the amount of vegetation we've got all over here. Now that vegetation is hugely nutrient rich. There's massive variety that they have, and so it means these guys can really find the food that they need in order to survive. It's a rich ecosystem for elephants and for food items, and so they find all their nutrients that they need through the various food sources that we have. Now, I'm going to try and see if I can't just get a better view of our ellies as they feed, because they seem to have all done a disappearing act on me. And so while I do that, I believe Byron, well, he's now looking close at trees, which means that something will be pretty interesting, because the trees.
It sounds like Tristan lost a bit of signal now. Tawny eagle flew down into a tree, but we've got such a beautiful silhouette. The sunset at the moment, really, really wonderful, wonderful sighting of that tawny eagle though. But then on the other side we've had this lovely sunset, which is just spectacular. A wonderful winter sunset. The dust in the sky really gives us a wonderful orange color. Look at those clouds. That's very nice. Oh, there's a squirrel busy alarm calling, and I think it's alarm calling at that tawny eagle. As I said, I Do enjoy these silhouettes though with this beautiful beautiful light. Umkar, yes, it is very beautiful, very, very beautiful sunset. You can actually see some sun rays through the clouds. Shall we see if we can just have another quick look at that tawny eagle, maybe get a bit closer. Oh, there he is. Yeah, he just flew down onto the ground. Hang on a second. There he is. Stay there, please. What? Oh, that's beautiful. I wonder what it's got there. Now, the tawny eagle is actually a scavenger. I'm just trying to have a look. But they also feed on termites. I'm not sure if it saw something that it wanted to feed on. But they do feed on carrion, on carcasses and that. That's great to see it on the ground. There it goes. What a nice view. Wow, well done. Where's he going? Where's he going? And off it goes. Alright. Well, it sounds like these elephants are so close to Tristan, they're almost getting into the car, apparently. Let's go have a look and see how close they are.
Well, they were, Byron. They were literally right on the front of the car. They've now come onto the road in front of us, and they're taking it very easy. We were parked quite far away from them. They were busy feeding, and they then just decided to walk right in front of us. And there was a big grumble from the leading female, the one over there. She had a bit to say, and then the others came. But both of those females are heavily pregnant. You can see the one on the right bulging, and this female on the left also bulging around that stomach area. So both of these two are going to be having calves, I would imagine, in the next few months. But we have been absolutely spoiled by these elephants. They literally, as Byron said, almost looked like they wanted to climb into the car. They just came past that front bumper there and moved between us and this tree that's on our left hand side, which was really quite something. So sorry, Seb, I'm a little bit in the way there. There's also some ellies behind us, so we're just really in the middle of the herd, and there is no better way to spend an afternoon than like this. I'm sure I would love to actually have had Byron here with me, because I know he really enjoys the ellies and loves when he gets to spend time around them. So it would have been so nice to have had him here too, and to experience this with us. Luckily, Byron has had his fair share of elephant sightings, and will have more in the future, I'm sure. And hopefully in the next few days, when he's out and about on his adventures here on Djuma, he will see lots more of these guys. I'm just listening to the one walking behind us at the moment, seeing where it goes. Rita, you're wondering when the head of the elephant herd dies, so the matriarchal female that dies, who takes over? Well, generally, Rita, there's an older female. It's normally from the same lineage, so it will be an older daughter from that particular female will take over, or you'll find one of the other senior members of the herd, so one of the older females will then take over from there. But generally, when an elephant's getting a little bit older, she normally doesn't carry on with the matriarchal duty. It's not always the oldest elephant within the herd. You'll find that there are certain younger members that maybe are stronger, healthier, that are able to run what goes on, and there's a slow process of this other female coming through, and that female that used to be the matriarch almost steps aside as she gets older and lets that one go through. And so if that older one dies, there's not too much of a disturbance in the herd, because there's still an older female that sort of knows what goes on, knows where places are, and will be able to then look after the herd itself. Now, well, we're going to carry on with this elephant herd, but it sounds like Byron has found his favorite bird, and let's go across to him quickly before it flies away.
Well, one of my favorite little birds, a beautiful pearl-spotted owl, pearl-spotted owlet, and again spotted by Craig. Craig is getting really good at spotting these little owls, but that's a lovely view, and you can actually see he's got those 2 black spots behind the head. You can see them clearly. They appear to look like eyes. I wonder what this little owl is looking at. Now we know they do catch little insects and rodents. Right, but he's right at the top of that tree. Beautiful, tiny little owl. Oh, we've been lucky with spotting them at the moment this time of year. It's a bit easier. There's not as much foliage around, so they stand out a little bit more. But they are still, it's not always easy. It's still difficult, and you hear them a lot. But it's so wonderful to see these little owls. I really do enjoy them. And yesterday we had the African barred owlet, and now the African scops owlet. Sorry, pearl-spotted owlet. Oh, you see, I'm losing my mind. It's a pearl-spotted owlet, everyone, so I do apologize. And the other little one that we get in this area is the scops owl. The scops owl, which is also about the same size, slightly smaller. Some books say they're similar in size. Some say the scops owl is slightly smaller than the pearl-spotted owl. But all tiny little owls. There, look at the face. He's facing us now. You can see that little beak. His beautiful eyes. Oh, that is really great. That is very special. That's made my afternoon. Angel, you say you love owls. Well, I'm so glad we are able to show you a little pearl-spotted owlet. Wasn't that nice? Look at that, right up in the back of that tree. Perfect. Spot well and Craig. And lovely to see it. I'm so glad we got to show you. Right, we're going to move off and we're going to head back towards Djuma. We're going to leave Chitwa now. Wonderful sunset that we had here. And to see that owl. Wow, now Tristan's really had a great afternoon with the elephant. He said he wished I was there with him. For once, I will agree with Tristan. I wish I was there too. I do enjoy sitting around with elephant, but he's still sitting there and enjoying them. So let's go back and join him.
Byron, for once, I feel like that's not true at all. I'm going to remind you of that the next time we are having a braai, which for those of you who don't know what a braai is a barbecue where we have a fire and we sit around and we cook some meat, and it's just quite a joyful affair. So next time we have one at camp, then I'll just tell Byron that he's not invited anymore because he's being nasty to us. What do you think, Seb?
I agree.
Agree. Seb also agrees. I feel like we have good fun all the time, Seb.
And you can't braai anyway.
Not
a good braai.
Now this one will probably hurt Byron because Seb is saying he can't braai anyway and he's not a good braaier of meat, which is complete fallacy actually. We just tell him that because we want to just get him a little bit riled up, but Byron is actually a very good cook. He makes some fantastic food. Sometimes he gets quite arty and he does snacks for us in the afternoons when we get back from drive, and we have cheese and biscuits and pesto and sun-dried tomatoes and you name it. So sometimes Byron gets quite arty with his food, and he made a braai for us the other day and it was very tasty, so he did a good job. But don't tell him that. Don't tell him that we were paying him any compliment whatsoever, because otherwise his head will get big and, well, there won't be any room for the elephants with his guns and his head together. But getting back to our ellies, they are all around us really feeding, and it's that time of the day where I would have expected the ellies to be like this. It's the perfect time to get nutrients. It's cooling off nicely. That sun is dipped below the horizon, and Well, if you're an elephant, you don't really have to worry about predators too much. It's got young ones, and they will have to be slightly on lookout for lions, but generally the lions in this area know better than to try and go after any of these kind of elephants. So these guys just can go about feeding now. They don't have to expend energy in the hot parts of the day. It's the perfect time to feed. And I've really been enjoying watching the two big matriarchal two big females that we have in this group. They've been picking up a number of trees and just throwing them away as they look for food. So every time they've found a dead tree, they've just literally picked it up and thrown it, and then they're feeding on whatever has been growing underneath. And it's much like this guy's about to do now. There we go. See it rolling the tree towards us. You clever thing. There we go. Now that's going to expose all those grasses that nobody else could get to. Well done. You've learned very well from the others. Now this is a slightly younger individual. It's not nearly as old as what we've seen the other two and the big females that were on the road, but definitely has learned from them, and this will all be learned behavior. And you can see dusting, getting rid of too much of the soil or dust that's on the plant itself so as not to affect their teeth. Remember, they need to look after their teeth, particularly in a wooded environment like this. Elephants' teeth wear down a lot faster than an environment like what we see in the Masai Mara with big open grasslands. Our ellies tend to their teeth take a bit of a pounding with all the trees that they eat and roots, and so they don't last nearly as long, and that's why they've got to look after them a little bit better. It's so cool just to sit in amongst these ellies and listen to all the sounds. You can hear the trunks, you can hear breathing. Marion, you say you're 100% jealous of me. Well, I'm sorry, Marion. I would love for you to all be here, and at least we can show you this via the internet, and you can all be a part of it. But I would love for all of you to be a part of this and to be able to fit all of you on our safari car. Imagine if we had a car that was big enough for all of us to fit in. I don't think the Ellies would be that impressed by it, but it would be cool to have you all on a game drive and take you guys out and experience these kind of things. But we are extremely fortunate, Marion. I think both Seb and I and many of the crew here at Djuma and the Masai Mara realize just how fortunate we are to be able to live this, to be able to see things like this and experience these kind of things on a day-to-day basis is pretty phenomenal. And we, as James often alludes to, have the best life and job ever when we do these kind of things. And it's just really astounding to be able to spend time in the presence of these wise old animals and to watch the intricacies of how they feed and move and how they work is really quite something. So we are very fortunate, and I suppose it is something that a lot of people would be jealous about. I know a lot of people have traveled from all over the world to come and see Africa's beautiful animals and its beauty that we have out here, and so we are very fortunate to spend time here. I know, Seb, it's why you live in South Africa, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
There we go. And it's why Ali's in South Africa. It's why a lot of us are out here, and it's not lost on us just how fortunate we are to be able to do what we do and to see what we see on a day-to-day basis. Take care. You're wondering if an ellie can make noise from their mouth as well as their trunk. Well, yes, they can. Talking about noise, they're just grumbling at the moment. Now that grumbling sound that you hear is them exhaling from their mouth, actually. No, it's not through their trunk, it comes from their lungs and then through the mouth, and that's that deep vocal grumble sound that we hear from ellies. When they trumpet, it's through the trunk itself, but most of their sounds are actually made through their mouth themselves. They don't actually produce too much sound through the trunk. The trunk is more when they're in distress or when they're trumpeting for some reason. That's when you'll hear noise from there, but most of it is actually through the mouth itself. Obviously the breathing sound that they make is through their trunk, but generally most noises from the mouth. Now I'm just going to go forward because I think the rest of the herd is actually coming out a little bit. These guys are still stuck in the thicket, but the rest look as though they're coming towards the road, so I want to just quickly go around this corner. Hopefully I'm right. The road doesn't bend quite as much as I thought it was. We're not as far down, but we will have a better view of one elephant in particular. So there we go. That's a little bit better. It's not as hidden behind the thickets, but you can see the damage the ellies have done in this particular area. It's often noticeable around water sources is how much damage ellies can do. If you look here, there's just broken trees everywhere and broken branches. You can see fallen dead branches here next to the car, short stubby stumps that have been broken, and most of this damage will have occurred last year during the drought. As it became so dry, the elephants had to turn their attention to trees more than anything else, and they broke and abused many young knob thorns and bush willows and terminalias, and unfortunately this is the scarring that is left a year later. HSN, you're wondering if the elephants are territorial? No. So elephants have what's called a home range, which means that they will roam around in an area looking for food and nutrients, but they don't actually have a set territory. Because of their poor digestive system, the amount of food that they require as well as the amount of water that they require, they can't afford to be in a small area or a small territory. Also, to defend that against the number of elephants that are out here would be tiresome and pretty much non-stop work. And so you find that elephants just have what's called a home range, which multiple different elephants will occur in. Within that home range, they'll all have a section, and they just move around and they utilize food sources and water as and when it becomes available. So elephants that are here, let's say in February when the marulas are fruiting, and may take advantage of that, might push up all the way into the northern side of Kruger when it comes time for the mapanis to flower or seed, and then they'll go and make use of that. And then when other plants seed further south in the Kruger, they go down there. So it just depends. Some of the elephant female herds have massive home ranges, as do some of the bulls, and some have very small home ranges. There's some herds that probably won't even leave the Sabi sands, which is quite interesting, and there's other herds that, like I say, will travel massive distances. So they have a very loose sort of arrangement when it comes to areas, and are not that fiercely territorial towards other elephants. They will happily have other elephants in the area as long as there's enough for everybody. If there's not enough in terms of water, then you'll find sometimes the matriarchs get a bit finicky with other herds and might try to chase them off, but that's very seldom that we see behavior like that. But you can see how elephants can be difficult to spot. That elephant is all of about 40 meters away from us, but their coloration, particularly at this time of the day or in early morning when the sun's not really out, they actually blend in incredibly well. And if it's not for the ear moving and the trunks moving, you would battle to see them sometimes. And I love this time when we get that color in the sky, when we get those pinks and purples and blues and a few clouds. It is a perfect time of the day, and everything starts to get quite quiet at this time as well. Of course, as I say that, the anti-poaching helicopter is about to come over, so they do fly routinely. It's just patrols, it's nothing to be worried about. They just come over and they check, make sure that there's some sort of visibility when it comes to the actual helicopter, so that any poachers that might think about coming here know that there's an active unit patrolling, and the chopper flies over and just checks around and makes sure that there's no untoward movement or people that shouldn't be moving at this time of the day. So you will hear a bit of a noise coming over shortly. I find though that the ellies are not a huge fan of the chopper. They don't like the noise that it brings along, and so often when the helicopter flies over, you'll find the ellies actually move off quite quickly. And that's why whenever helicopters fly, they let us know, because obviously if anybody's on foot, it's going to be a little bit of a problem when a helicopter comes over with elephants, and often the elephants then distribute and scatter, and if you're underneath and the chopper comes over you can't hear anything, and next thing there's a whole herd of elephants piling out towards you, which is not very good. Right, our elephants are starting to move into some quite dense, quite thick, quite unfriendly vegetation. I don't think it's going to be the best idea for us to really follow them through here. We've had such an incredible afternoon with them, such an amazing close experience, that I don't think it's worth us pushing them anyway, and I also don't want to infuriate any of the adult pregnant females any further or make any noise around them. So I think we're going to leave our ellies just where they are and let them enjoy their afternoon, and thank them for their incredible show that they've given us this afternoon. And while we do that, I believe Byron's got his spotlight out, and I'm sure he's on the hunt for more owls and chameleons this evening.
I have indeed, Tristan. Glad you had such a great elephant sighting. It's not quite dark enough for the spotlight. I suppose if we're looking in the trees, we might be able to spot something. We'll see. I'm not sure what we're going to try find now, but we'll see what we can. It's quite chilly tonight, actually. It definitely feels a lot cooler than it has been the last few days. Let's just walk here. Looks like hyena tracks. Now, there's some impala off to the left. I'm not going to shine on them. Chantal was saying that temperature is apparently 73 degrees Fahrenheit, 23 degrees Celsius. That's an absolute lie. I think our weather station, I'm not sure where it's recording, unless it's recording the temperature in the warmth of the building, perhaps, I don't know, but it's definitely much cooler than that, I think. It's just below 20, to be honest. See if maybe Craig can't spot another owl for us. Exquisite bliss, you say I must find you a chameleon. It's very difficult in winter, exquisite bliss. We don't often see chameleons in winter. And the reason is because it's so dry, so the chameleons fly north for the winter. I'm obviously joking. They don't fly. But no, the chameleons, like most reptiles, aren't that active in the winter. We can try though, but we generally don't see many of them in the winter. The bush babies do indeed make noises. The bush babies have like the lesser bush baby have a bit of a high-pitched squeal or chirping sound that they make. That's the best way I can describe it. But now we do also get the thick-tailed bush baby, or the greater bush baby, the thick-tailed bush baby. Now that's much larger than the lesser bush baby. The thick-tailed bush baby is about, I'm not joking, these bush babies get to about this big. They're actually quite large. Now I have seen that bush baby here on Djuma, but only once around the lodge. I haven't seen them out while we've been on safari though. But they've got an eerie sound to them. They sound like almost like a baby crying, like a high-pitched cry, a very strange sound. And we do get them in this area, but you do not see them often at all. Like I said, I think I've seen one here on Djuma, and then I think of all my time in the Sabi Sands, I think I've probably only seen 3 in, 8 years we're guiding here. It's not many at all. But they do occur here and in parts of Kruger, but they've got a very high-pitched squeal or scream that they give. Tiggs, you say, how about finding you a bush baby? I'll try my best. It's funny, just before, my last stint here, we were finding a lot of bush baby, but it seems like they're not nearly as active anymore. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not looking hard enough. We'll try. Let's see. See if we can find a bush baby. Maybe it's a little too early for them to come out. Maybe they're only coming out a little bit later. Alright, well Tristan's also got his spotlight out. Let's go and put some pressure on him to find us something in the evening.
Boy, we thrive on pressure. And we found elephants before you did, Byron. No, I'm just kidding. It's always healthy to have a little competition between each other, and well, like I said, I did wish that Byron was there with us, because I know he would have loved that sighting and would have thoroughly enjoyed those elephants. Much as we give each other trouble, Byron and I actually do enjoy each other's company. Well, I hope Byron enjoys our company. Sorry Seb, we certainly enjoy his company, and like I say, he's a breath of fresh air in the camp. And I know James was also talking about it the other day, and I don't think it gets said enough that he does bring a very good energy to our camp, and lots of fun and lots of smiles and laughter amongst the whole crew. So it's always good when Byron's around, and like I say, a little friendly banter here and there is not too bad. Keeps us on our toes, that's for sure. But we will try to find something with a spotlight. The aim of the game is to try and find something. So we're going to check around. NASCAR for life, you're saying that you think Byron and I should wrestle at the end of the Sunset Safari to settle our differences. Well, NASCAR for life, I think that's probably not the best idea, given that Byron and I are both not exactly small humans, and generally when wrestling takes place, well, boys will be boys, and they tend to get out of control, and the last thing we need is to hurt one another, because if I break Byron's arm or something like that, I'm pretty sure Steph might fire me, given that he needs Byron around here to drive, and I certainly don't want to be called back from leave. So I think we'll do that when I get back from leave. The next time I get back from leave, we can do our wrestle, and we'll see who comes up and trumps. We'll have to also lay some ground rules down, because I feel like Byron, who's from the south of Johannesburg, who are notorious when it comes to, you know, bending the rules slightly, we'll have to lay down some ground rules for Byron, just to make sure that he keeps it nice and playing on a level playing field, and there's no loopholes that he can worm out of what's going on. I think a better way will be just to have an apple juice and celebrate the evening. What do you think, Seb? Seb just has a little giggle because he knows that he's going to have apple juice this afternoon when he gets home, because Seb's going home tonight. He's going to go and see his wife and his child. I'm sure I'm missing you, Seb, a lot. And you're missing them too, so there we go.
No, I was thinking because I can't imagine you and Byron drinking apple juice together.
You can't imagine Byron and I drinking apple juice together. Why not? I feel like we do it fairly irregularly. Well, Byron more so than me, that's for sure, but we do it from time to time. Now, I don't know what Byron does or how he does this. I'm pretty sure that he has them in his pocket, and then every night he just places them there, and they're not actually real. But let's go across to Byron, who's got another owl.
There it goes, the pearl-spotted owl. Hang on, I think I saw where it landed. Let's see if we can get a view of it. Another pearl-spotted owl, but again it was spotted by Craig, not by me. Craig is getting really good at spotting these little owls at night. Hold on, I thought it was either there or back here, Craig. At the end, I think it's around there somewhere. Just have a look. Oh, there he is, sitting behind there. Just sitting behind that branch. You can see the head, that very black spot, those two spots on the back of the head. You can see it. Wonderful to see these little pearl-spotted owls. Listen, he's actually calling. There he is. Wonderful, listen to it. He didn't give his whistle at the end. Now these little pearl-spotted owls are quite territorial. And there's another one calling not too far away. Now this, I see he's starting to call again. There he goes. There, I saw where he landed. And they might see two of them. Maybe, hold on, because that other one didn't sound very far at all. Yeah, there are two in the tree now, everyone. There are two. They've just called and they've found each other. Let's see if we can get a glimpse of both of them. They're in there. Just have a look around there, Craig. I think there it is below there. And there's another one. There we go. I thought that one. Hold on, he's still there. Just at the back. The other one is now calling off to the right. There it goes. See, so they fly from tree to tree like this, calling. So they're almost challenging one another, I think, to an extent. And as I said, they're territorial. So these little owls will fly around to the trees and try and call and push the other one away. That's lovely. Really, really great. Xavier 11, you said it's just Craig calling. No, Craig's owl call is not that good, unfortunately. It's not Craig. That was definitely the owls. Oh, that was so nice. Another great spot by Batman. See, you see, it's his nocturnal vision that just comes out. The bat himself. He starts waking up round about now. Oh, there's a little scrub here. There's a little scrub here. Have a look at that. Oh, nice. There we go. Finding some interesting little nocturnal creatures coming out. That's wonderful. Always nice to see the little scrub hairs. Foraging for food now. Not going to shine the light here too long. We'll leave the scrub here. Let it continue on with its evening. Now, Tristan has apparently got a wonderful view of Djuma or Vuyatela Dam. Let's go and have a look.
We do. We've got a beautiful reflection in the water. There's still a little bit of colour that's coming down from the night sky. You can see there's pinks and yellows and golds, and that's Vuyatela Camp and Gari Dam. That is off into the distance, and well, there's a few better ways to finish one's afternoon than to gaze upon a sky like that and a bit of water. And it almost looks like our waterhole is a little bit in the shape of Africa. Not quite, but you can see there's the sort of would have been the tail end towards the edge there, and if it had cut off here and made like a rounded piece, it would have been a little bit like Africa, and that would have been the perfect way to finish an afternoon with an Africa sunset of its own special, unique way. I believe Byron had an Africa tree yesterday, so it would have tied in quite nicely. But it really is pretty, and I was just sitting and listening to the sounds and hoping that we would maybe hear a leopard soar somewhere here after last night's sawing that went on. And actually Byron and I were looking at the tracks today. He walked right past where we were staying, or where Byron and them were staying at the DRC, and right past our vehicles, and made lots of noise. And I believe Byron was out with a torch trying to see this leopard sawing last night, and he didn't manage to see it, but it walked right near where he was. So It's very cool that the leopards are around, and I would imagine it's our Houdini Tingana, and so Tingana's got his timing all out at the moment. He's supposed to be our last minute leopard, but he seems to keep rocking up about an hour too late. We'll have to have a word with him and get him back onto our schedules again, because I haven't seen Tingana in ages. It would be nice to see our dominant male leopard again. And Chantal's reminding me that we are going to start adapting our schedules to him in the next little bit, actually. I think 1st of August we have a time change in the morning, I think, somewhere around there. And then in the evenings we're going to start also changing at some point as well. So we will catch him, don't worry, he can't hide from us forever. We shall certainly find him. Now I just want to quickly check in this little dip as we go down, because this will forever be Seb and ours dip with Tumba, and remember him fondly coming down this dip and finding Tumba just off to our left hand side here, lying up. So I just want to check there. No sign. Now, Tanis in Canada, you say it's time to smell buttered popcorn. I agree, Tanis. It would be very pleasant to smell some buttered popcorn. Well, actually, even just to see what makes the smell of buttered popcorn out here in the bush, because that would mean that we would have our leopard. So I agree with you. I think it's time for a last minute leopard for sure. So Tingana, wherever you are, now is the time to pop your head out. And I'm sure he's lurking somewhere around. I believe he was south of us this morning, so I wonder if he's not somewhere to the south. Maybe Byron will get lucky and bump into him somewhere down that way, although I have no idea where Byron is. If he's seeing owls and various other things, it might be that he's actually closer to home than I think. But we are slowly coming up now towards Quarantine and seeing if maybe we get something on Quarantine and we get a little bit lucky up this side. And while we do that, I believe Byron is also puttering about in this beautiful evening weather and trying to find something just like us.
Now we are indeed having a look, and Tristan's right. We had that leopard so close to camp last night. I actually went out of my room. Now, don't try that at home, but left my room because I heard him calling and walked out and heard Inyala alarm call right at the gate of our camp. Had a look, couldn't really see where it was. Quickly ran round to the gate where the cars are, and he walked behind the car and called. He must have been about 30, maybe 40 meters from me while he called. It was an amazing sound, an amazing experience to have this male leopard walking past camp and calling. It really, really was so great. But I wouldn't recommend you do that unless you are qualified. But just to be that close to a leopard, knowing that he was just there and calling, was amazing. And then he moved, but he was calling constantly calling. He walked for quite a distance. Now, I've stopped in the spot for a reason, because yesterday I noticed that tree is it's uncanny. It's in the shape of Africa. Look at that. It definitely is in the shape of Africa. Hey, well, that is amazing. It's an apple leaf, I think. Tristan, just getting back to your comments earlier, thanks very much for all the compliments and that. But the wonderful thing is everybody brings something great to the camp and to the team, and it's always nice. In the evenings we get around, we sit, we have a bit of fun, we laugh, and it's really been so wonderful working with everyone here in Safari Live, and especially here at the moment at Djuma. While the other teams up in the Mara, we're having a lot of fun all over, so it is great. And as I said, everybody brings something to the table, even Batman with his quiet comments at times. But we do have a lot of fun. There's a lot of banter, and it's great. So it makes it a lot easier. And as Tristan said, probably one of the best jobs in the world. Yeah, definitely. Now, thank you to the ladies in the final control, the voices in my head. Tristan and Sebastian, thank you very much. Sebastian, have a wonderful leave and a break, and of course, thank you, Batman, with me this afternoon for all the owl spotting. Thank you, all of our viewers, for your questions and comments. We'll see you tomorrow evening. Tomorrow morning is the Nat Geo Wild show from the Mara. So we'll see you tomorrow. Good night. Goodbye, everybody.